You know, every time you turn on a game, you're not just watching the athletes. You're actually plugging into this massive, kind of hidden global economy. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the insane amount of money that powers the sports we all love. Let's dive into the Global Money League.
All right, let's just start with the big one. $58 billion. I mean, that's just a staggering number, right? But what does it even mean?
Well, that's the price tag. That is what broadcasters, the streamers, all those media companies pay every single year for one simple thing: the right to show you live sports. And believe me, this money, it's the jet fuel that powers the entire sports industry.
But here's where it gets really interesting. You'd think a $58 billion pie would be sliced up pretty evenly, right? Well, not even close. In fact, a whopping 84% of that pie
Is controlled by just 10 markets. I mean, just look at this. It says everything. The world of sports media, it is not an even playing field. Not at all. It's a league that's totally dominated by a handful of titans, and almost all the cash is sitting in just a few spots.
So, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to take a little tour of this very exclusive club. First, we'll break down the $58 billion game itself. Then, we'll meet the titans over in North America, check out Europe's football fortress, see where South America fits into all this, and then, we'll take a peek at what the future might hold.
All right, first up, let's look at the league table, so to speak. Who are the sports, which are the leagues, that are commanding these absolutely incredible sums of money?
Now, the answer probably won't surprise you too much, but the sheer scale of the dominance? Oh yeah, that definitely will.
Okay, this one chart right here, it tells you pretty much the whole story. The size of each box shows you how much it's worth. And just look at that massive green block for the NFL. I mean, come on, over $12.5 billion, that's worth more than the next 3 properties put together. And check out the colors, green for North America, blue for Europe. They just completely own the top of this list.
So let's start with the undisputed, undefeated heavyweight champion of the media rights world, North America. Okay, get this. Of that $58 billion global market we talked about, almost $30 billion of it comes from North America alone. That's more than half of the entire planet's sports media money, and it's pretty much all being driven by just one country, the good old US of A.
And this dominance, it's all thanks to a power trio. You've got the NFL, which is just in a league of its own at number 1, but then you've got the NBA and Major League Baseball, and they're both global giants, each pulling in billions and billions of dollars every year.
All right, let's hop across the Atlantic to the other global powerhouse, Europe. And over here, the story of market dominance is built on one thing, and one thing only: football. So, Europe's market is valued at a massive $18 billion. Now, yeah, that's a distant second to North America, but it still makes up about 30% of the global total. So it's still a pretty formidable fortress.
And who's guarding this fortress? Well, you've got the English Premier League and UEFA's Champions League acting as these twin engines, right? Each one brings in over $4 billion. And then you've got their backup, the top leagues in Spain, Germany, and Italy. And yeah, they're all billion-dollar properties too. Okay, so we've met the two giants. But what about other places where the passion for sports is just as intense, if not more so? Let's head down to South America, a rising challenger on the world stage. Now, to put this all in perspective, the entire South American market, it's only about 4 to 5% of the global total. Look, $2.5 to $3 billion is obviously a ton of money, but it's actually less than what the NBA or the Premier League make all by themselves. And this chart right here really shows you the complete and total dominance of one sport. In South America, football isn't just the king, it's the entire kingdom. It makes up over 90% of the media rights market. Brazil's top league, all on its own, is responsible for about half of that. And this chart just puts it all into stark perspective. I mean, look at that staggering difference. North America's bar is just towering over everybody else. Europe is a strong number 2. And then, way down there, you see South America. An incredibly passionate market for sure, but financially they're in a completely different weight class. This is what we mean by market concentration. You want to see it even more clearly? Okay, let's compare the biggest titan with let's call it a niche player. The NFL's annual media rights, over $12 billion. On the flip side, you have a sport that's popular all over the world, professional cycling, and it makes up less than 1% of the entire market. The gap is just, wow.
And this quote from some industry insiders really drives the point home. For the giants at the top of the pyramid, media rights are this endless gusher of cash. But for so many other sports, even ones with huge followings, it's barely a trickle. The whole model just, it doesn't work for everybody.
So, okay, we've established we have this very top-heavy, super concentrated market. The big question now is, where does it all go from here? Is this game about to change? Well, one thing's for sure. The pie is definitely getting bigger. A lot bigger. Projections are showing the global market is expected to surge past $78 billion by 2030. That is a huge amount of new money flooding into the system.
So when we look at the projections, yeah, we see growth pretty much everywhere. North America is going to add at least another $6 billion. Europe, South America, and Asia's pretty significant market. They're all going up too. But, and this is the key thing to notice, the fundamental balance of power? It isn't really expected to shift. The Titans are just going to get richer.
And that leaves us with the big, crucial question, doesn't it? With $20 billion of new money about to flood the market, and with all these new players, like streaming services, getting into the game, is things going to get fairer for everyone? Or are the giants at the top just going to get stronger and pull even further away from the rest of the pack?